Hello everyone, LT Wexler coming to you here doing a video for VTOL VR campaign or mission editor. Today we're going to just jump into a standalone mission so you can get up and going on creating the most elaborate or the most basic mission you can do. Um, and show you some of the tools that you can use within the editor to, again, customize the mission or a campaign to set it up exactly like you want. So first, you'll get into your headset, you'll load up the game. At the bottom right down here, you'll see Map Editor and Mission Editor. You'll click on Mission Editor and it'll tell you, hey, this is going to be done on your monitor, which is your PC or laptop. So this is where we are right here. Once you get to that point, you will be right here at this screen. So what we're going to do here is we are going to click on Standalone Mission. And then we are going to create a new mission. And I'm going to give the title Blue Angel is the name of the mission. The second thing down here is the map. Default map is this one here, map Octoon. And there's some default maps here. You can see the island, a few other ones here. All of these are default ones that you can pick. And then if you have gone into Steam and chosen some of the maps there, those are downloaded and those are viewable here. So I have a Japan, a UK, Western Persian Gulf, France, Calius, and Hawaii. Now, some of these maps, I've created a mission before, and the France one takes a long time to load. So we're not going to use that today for the purpose of this video because we want it to be as quick as possible. So, but you know, the timing to load up a map versus a quick map, it's up to you. You can pick whatever you want to pick. And I wanted to do one with a larger map because it had more stuff to do, fly over and more terrain and whatnot. So, but we're going to keep this one simple. Like I said, we're just going to pick Calius here. So we're going to open up that. So now we've got our map, we've got our file name, and I'm not going to select training mission. If you want to select training mission, you can. Quite honestly, don't know what training mission is. I mean, I know what a training mission is. However, I can't tell you the difference between creating a regular mission and a training mission because a training mission, I'm assuming you can shoot at them because I've done some training missions and they shoot at you. And a regular mission, they shoot at you and you shoot at them. So I don't see what the difference is between doing a training mission and just a regular mission. So if one of you figure it out, by all means, put a comment down there and say, hey, the difference between a training mission and a regular mission is this, because I really don't see too much of a difference in it. And so I'm not doing the training mission. We're doing just a straight up regular old mission. So gonna hit save, and it's loading up the map there, and it is done. Now, a couple of things here on how you move around the screen. Obviously, you have your cursor, woo, but you move this cursor here, which is where objects will be placed. You move that by using your keyboard, and you're using the AWSD keys on your keyboard. So A is going to take you left, D is going to take you right, W forward, S is back. The other keys that you need to know are the Q and E, which are just on the opposite of the W at the top. Q will rotate you counterclockwise. E will rotate you clockwise. And as you can see, the arrow right here, this is the way or the direction that whatever it is you're laying down or object will be facing. So just take a note of that. The other keys on the keyboard that you will need to know are Z and X. So Z brings you downward, X takes you up. Down, Z, X, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Get it? Okay. To zoom in and out, I have a Logitech TrackMan wheel mouse, keyword being wheel mouse, and the wheel will let me zoom in and out, in and out, in and out. There you go. So otherwise, you just use the keys, get you around. But if you zoom out, you can move a lot faster around the map. So, all right. So here's basically the map right here. It's very small actually. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here so we can zoom in on this base here. Here's a base. It is blue, which means it is an allied base. So um, we are going to keep it an allied base, and we are going to create, well, we could, no, we can't. Yeah, we can't do that. Okay, take that back. We're going to make it a bad guy base. We're going to make it a bad guy base, so just keep that in mind. So first of all, what we're going to do is we are going to take our cursor and we're going to go out here to C somewhere, go a little bit further out, change our direction, and a little point that way still. There we go. That should be good enough. All right, so first things first, we're going to come over here to units. And we're going to select new unit. So here are your different sides. You have allied units and enemy units. We're going to be, the player is always going to be on the allied unit side. So first thing we're going to do is create C, a category, aircraft C, buildings, ground, etc., 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 etc. We're going to create C. You have an assault carrier, which looks like this, basically a World War II like type aircraft carrier. And then you have your standard like Nimitz class aircraft carrier today, you know, modern aircraft carrier with catapults and whatnot. And then you have some cruisers. So we're doing an aircraft carrier, Nimitz style. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK. And now, if you want to name it to a C group, let's say you wanted to create multiple ships, you could do that. Not going to do that for this particular mission. Just going to be just the carrier there. The default behavior is parked. You can change it to move somewhere or to navigate along a path somewhere. You can set a waypoint. There's where you would enter the path. You can even put the whole number. So the whole number, we're going to do 1, 2, 3. How about that? And engage enemies just means that if the target can engage enemies, if the enemies get close enough, they will engage. Spawn immediately means as soon as the mission starts, it spawns immediately. Go figure. So we've got that done. So we're gonna go ahead and move, and we're just gonna move it back a little bit further, and then we're gonna hit close. All right. Oops. There we go. Zoom in a little bit. Okay, so there's our aircraft carrier there. So if you want to edit or do anything with the aircraft carrier or any other item that you have created, it'll show up in the allied or enemy columns over here. You click on the cog, brings back up the menu that you did before. So that's how you do that. Pretty simple. Okay, so close that. So next what we're going to do is we're going to lift our cursor up here, X. There we go, X, move it over top of the hole here. And we're going to do a unit. Whoops, already had it out. Excuse me. Sorry, I had to sneeze. So we're going to do a new unit. And this unit we're going to see and call the player, which is going to be yourself. So you're going to be the player here. So you're going to select that where the player will be spawned. So you're going to hit OK. And then inside here you have a few options of what you're going to do. The start mode is how your plane is going to start. Cold, where you have to flip everything pretty much on because it's a cold start. Where you're flight ready or flight AP. Forgive me, don't know what flight AP is. Flight ready means it's ready to go. Everything's on, ready to taxi. Cold means everything's off. There you go. Flight AP, again, don't know what it is. Personally, I like cold starts anyway, so I don't need to know what it means because I like to do cold starts. So we're going to keep this on a cold start. And then the last thing down here is aircraft group. Now this is if you want to create you a squadron of fighters or a squadron of tanks or squadron of anything, we'll just call it. And this is where you can get everyone within a certain group. So your group can be 2, can be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up to you on how many things you want to create. So we're going to go ahead and create our group, and we're just going to start at the top here and call it alpha. There we go. So now the player is part of alpha group, and we're done with that. So going to go ahead over and click new unit, and this time we're going to click aircraft, and this time we are going to create a FA-26B because that's what we're going to be when I select that feature down the road here. So we're going to go ahead and select that. So next we are going to make that craft. I'm just going to hit move so we can move it a little bit so you can see it behind the player jet. Anytime you want to move, you just hit move. It says moving unit. You use the AWS D keys to move it around, and then when you're done moving it, you just hit move. Green means it's there. That's where it's going. So right now, I'm going to keep this. I'm not going to touch this right now. I'm going to come back to this in a few minutes, and I'll show you why. But first off here, I'm going to go ahead and click this. We're going to leave this one. We're going to do this cold as well. And that's all I'm going to do with this one for now. Otherwise, we'll come back to it, like I said. So we've got that created, and we are going to close that. So next thing you want to do, because it's been a few minutes, you want to come up to edit, and you want to go to scenario info. And this is where you give your scenario a title. So I'm going to keep with the name Blue Angel. It's the title of our scenario. And then the description is Lieutenant Wexler, wow, wow, the caps are on, sorry. Take your fighter wing to Calius Island and destroy all enemy targets. We'll just say all targets. How about that? All targets encountered. Ooh, that sounds very, 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 very important. Next, if you have an image, you can select an image. These are stored in a section within the folder. Don't ask me about the folder location right now. I'm not giving it to you. That's not the point of the video. But you can do that. They do have a few in there for you, basic ones. But if you have some that you have, it tells you all over here they have to be PNGs or JPEGs pretty much, or JPG, which is JPEG. Sometimes they have JPE and JPEG, but these only support the JPE. So if you don't have that file or have it in some other format, there's plenty of software out there that you can convert the files over to one of these supported extensions. So I have a couple of files that I got from FSX back in the day. Woo! Good old throwback days. So I'm just going to pick one of those. There's one right there. I like that. That's cool. Let's go with it. All right, great. So this is where you pick your vehicle. So this is going to be the player's vehicle. So right now the default is the AV-42C, and we're going to change that to the FA-26B. Again, training mission. Don't ask, don't tell, no clue. We're skipping right over that. The equipment here, the box configurable is checked. Basically, all you want to know what this one is, it allows you as the player to go in and configure your loadout, which is great. You don't want to be, strong arm into, hey, this is what you have to use to get through the mission. If you want to do that yourself, you can do that by doing it your own self. When you go in to configure, you can just say, you know what, I'm not going to use any of these type of missiles or rockets, so I'm going to handicap myself and use just guns or just this or just that. So you can do that and configure your own way. I'm not going to limit how you can set it up here, but if you wanted to, you could do that just to show what that option is. So um, the RTB waypoint is where you go to return to the base. So we just started this one, but we're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep the RTB as the aircraft carrier from whence we came. So we're going to do that. Refueling waypoint, we can edit this. We're going to leave it blank. Bullseye, no freaking clue what bullseye is. Some kind of code word for something. Maybe you can just set up one to just say, hey, head to bullseye, everyone. And maybe it could be your priority target or something. I don't know. But we're not going to use that either. So the refuel waypoint is important. So I will briefly talk about that. You can select a waypoint, which we have none of because we just started. But over here in the mission, editor, you can create a waypoint up in the sky somewhere or a base, but I'm just using the air refueling because everyone loves the refuel in the air. You can use that and set it up, 10,000 feet, 20, 15, however have you. Set it up there and then go in and add a unit, and it'll be the refueling tanker. And then you set that at that waypoint, and then you just pretty much come back here and say, hey, here's where the refueling thing is. It's at this waypoint, and it'll fly you to that area. You'll see the fueling tanker, and you hook up. There you go. Easy peasy. Briefing. This is where you can go in, and after you, assuming you've played the game before, when you go in and you select your mission, it gives you a little synopsis of this is what your mission is all about. So we're going to create just one. So you enter in your text here. So we're going to Calius Island to destroy all the targets that we encounter. So we'll just say launch your squadron ASAP and take out the enemy threats on / around Calius Island. How about that? All right. And again, you can add another image in here if you want. We'll add another image. There you go. We'll add this one. Woo! Another jet. There you go. If you have audio, you can add audio. Let's say you speak this and save it as, I believe they take MP4s, MP3s. What is it? MP3s and OGGs. You down with OGG? Yeah, you know me. Who down with OG? Okay, sorry. But if you want to do that, you can. Totally up to you. I'm just showing you all the little nuances of the program and how you can really dive in and do a lot of cool stuff with it. So I'm just going to hit cancel because I don't have any fancy files to do anything like that, but I do have an image, so you got that in there. So if you wanted to add another note, some notes have, objective 1, blah, 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 blah. You can add a new note right here, blah, 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 note 2, objective 2, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. So going to delete that second note because not making it that complicated, just going to say, hey, here it is. Figure it out along the way. You're the you're the squadron leader, Lieutenant. Figure it out your own self. That's what we paid you for. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK on the briefing. So we got that. Here's a budget. If you want to make a budget in there, just this stuff, just leave it the default. Quite honestly, unless you want to make it like a coin operated game or something where, ooh, I got money and I can go in and buy stuff. I like that it's in here. It's perfect because what you can do is actually set up that every ship you down gives you a reward of X amount of money, and you can create a budget where hey, if you're doing a campaign, you got to be blowing up stuff to get money so you can get back in the air to blow up stuff. Otherwise, you don't have money, you ain't gonna be able to fly. So that's a bit too much because I just want to get up in the sky, shoot stuff, return to base. And hopefully, I can do it all in one fell swoop and in one piece without getting shot out. So the environment here is where you can pick what time of the day or you want to start. Morning, day, night. Default is day. I'm going to hit cancel. What you can do here is say optional environment. And you can set whether the player is allowed to choose the environment before starting the game, which is the best option. So you just check that box when the mission is created and done. When you load it up, you look to the left and you can pick, hey, I want to do it during the nighttime, the day, or the morning. Totally up to you. If you don't check that box, then the person who's playing it is stuck with whatever you have here. So why not just go ahead and customize that so that, again, kind of like they can configure their own images, their own equipment, they can configure the environment day, night, morning, etc., etc. If you want to have saves, you can say, yeah, they can save anywhere, rearms only, or no resaves. Mission's not going to be that big to want to make a save, but you can do that, so they can save anywhere if they want to. If this mission, you could just start it over. It's not going to be a huge, long 50-hour mission, but you also have the ability to say how many saves are they allowed if you need to go in and be that specific. But right now, high level. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK, and now we're back here to this, and we're going to go File, Save As, and we are going to call it Blue. Will it let me overwrite my file? Blue Angel. There you go. All right, so it let me save. Okay, saved. All right, so now we have the player, we have our wingman here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to scroll out, and we are going to click on bases here, and we're going to click on this Calius Island. And all right, so I kind of fast tracked or fast traveled, warp speed. Need more speed. All right, anyway, fast traveled over to the island here, and here's the base. And the base by default, blue allied base. So what we're going to do is click on this. We're going to make it an enemy base. Now it's red, blue, red. There you go, enemy base. You can rename the base to bad guys base or whatever it is, and we're going to call it, what's a cool name for a base? I don't know. Base. Nah, that's a Base Gordon. How about that? Base Gordon. And we'll say okay. All right, so that's the base name now. Woo, got a base. And we're just going to hit okay. So what we're going to do here on this base is, here's the airstrip. We are going to come over here to the airstrip. Woo. All right, and we are going to turn, woo, zoom in, turn a little more. There we go. And bingo. Perfect. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back over here, unit, new unit. We're going to do an enemy unit, and we are going to do an ASF 30. There we go. And we are going to say okay to that. All right, so we're just going to do the one here, but we are going to name him to a group. And we are going to, our group is alpha, so we don't want to label them into alpha. We want to come down, we'll just start down here at the bottom and say the bad guys are Zulu. So we're going to do that. Zulu, he is parked. Auto refuel, auto return to base, radar on, yada yada yada. He is flight ready. That's fine. Return to base is going to be Base Gordon. And he's not going to return to the base, but that's, spoiler alert, he's not going to return to the base. Spoiler alert. Flight ready means he's up and going. We're going to have him up and going, ready. We are going to take off, engage enemies. Spawn immediately, meaning again, once the mission is started up, he is ready to go. So we are done with that. So we are going to close, and there's our jet right there. And looks like it's off. We're going to hit move. We'll just put them right up here so we can, and then move. There we go. Still looks a little off. There we go. All right, that's better. All right, so we're done with that. We're going to come back to him as well. Close. Oh, we created. Well, why does he? Where did 2 come from? Oh, 2 is this one. We did not want 2 there. No, we wanted 3 there. 3 and move. 2. Move. We can't move them right over there. Oh, that's like just crazy. Because that's going to take forever. It is. Okay. Not sure how that happened, but somehow I transported him all the way over there and we didn't want to. Move. There we go. He's back where he should belong now. Let's get back over here to this one. Okay, so what we've done is we've created the aircraft carrier, we created our player, we've created one wingman, and we created one bad guy here. So we're going to create one more bad guy. Unit, new unit, enemy unit, and it's going to be a bomber, a bomber. And we're going to move the bomber over here. Zoom in, turn it. Okay, the bomber is there. Bingo. All right, and he is part of Yankee. Okay. All right. Now, what we're going to do, now we have one fighter, one bomber, one carrier, one player, one wingman. So now what we're going to do is we are going to create a waypoint. And the purpose of the waypoint is to have where our bomber and our fighter are going to fly towards. Okay, so we are going to zoom out. We're going to say, hey, these guys flying this way. They're flying this way. We can put them over the land if we want. How about that? And we're going to say, whoops, waypoint, new waypoint, and this is our waypoint. And we are going to raise it up. Well, let's hit move, raise it up. Yeah, right about there is good. And we're going to hit apply. All right, and then we can rename this, and we're going to call it enemy orbit. Okay, and let's be more specific. Nah, we'll keep it that way. Again, I'm already elaborate, changing my plan like on the fly, which is a great thing, but not gonna change it. We're just gonna keep this enemy orbit, and we're gonna make this, instead of making waypoints for both the bombers and the fighters, I'm gonna keep one for all of them. So again, trying to keep it very simple, but you could set multiple, you could have fighters come over here, bombers come over here. Again, you can do totally what you want. You can set as many waypoints as you want, but I'm going to keep it simple. Just do the one waypoint for now. So we got this as the enemy orbit. That's that. So now what we're going to do is we are going to come down to objectives. And we'll give a new objective, and we'll edit the objective, and we'll rename the objective, and it is called uh, launch Zulu wing. All right, so this is our group being the player, and we're gonna set some objectives here for us to get through. So Zulu wing will launch. The objective type here, it's none of these: destroy, pick up, drop off, fly, join, yada, 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 yada. So we'll use the powerful one called conditional. The start mode is immediate. The waypoint, if we have a waypoint that we want to fly to for the objective, you can do that, but I'm not setting a waypoint to fly to for that. Auto set waypoint just means that once you start up, it's going to automatically set the waypoint for you. And then if you have a second objective, if you have that checked, once you complete the first objective, your scanner will already point you to the next one. This allows you to, be able to touch the machines and the screens and do the things that you want to do and set the waypoint and go in and make it yourself. So we're just going to go ahead and give this an objective info on this, and it's basically just the same thing. Launch Zulu wing from carrier. There we go. Now, once here's the success condition. So what makes this a successful objective? So we click on this and we will say you can do it by unit, which is one person, or a group. And we are going to do a group. So I'm going to say once alpha group, which is player one, launches, once player one, sorry, once the allied group is airborne, I got two of these, close that. Once they're all airborne, then this will be complete or a success. And you just connect the dots there, and then hit OK. So now we have a success condition. Now, upon completion of this, then what? If you need to do that. Or you can say something can start at the time this objective starts, which is immediately when the game starts. So what we can do here, say start event, and we can say unit group, and we will say Zulu take off. Okay. So at the start of this event, Zulu group is going to take off. We can also say Zulu group we're not going to do that just yet. We're going to leave that one. We're going to leave that one off. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. So we're going to hit cancel. We're not going to do that second objective. We're just going to say, hey, once the game starts, Zulu is going to take off. We're not going to give this a fail condition, so we're going to keep that the same. And we are going to hit OK. So going to go back over to our units here because I noticed that something wasn't right. Zulu is the fighter and Yankee is the bomber. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is, now that we've got, let's go back to our objectives. Now we got launch Zulu wing. We're going to go ahead with a second objective here. And we're going to say edit. And we're going to say destroy Yankee group. Okay. And then we're going to do another one. And we're going to edit. And we're going to rename. And we're going to say destroy it's actually Zulu group. Okay. And this one needs to be edit because we aren't Zulu, we are Alpha. So rename launch Alpha wing. And then we're actually going to add another action here. We're going to say unit group Yankee take off. So we're going to get all the enemies to, at the start of the mission, we're going to have all those enemies start taking off. I'm going to say OK. So now we have our other ones. Going to create one last objective, edit, rename, and this is return to carrier. OK. And the objective type is to land, and it is requires prerequisites, and that means whatever over here is checked has to be done before you can land. So we're just going to say we need to destroy Yankee group and Zulu group, and then this objective will become active, and then there you go. So now here's waypoint none, the waypoint for the return to carrier. So we click on this, we simply click the aircraft carrier here, and that gives us a waypoint to return to the carrier. So if you had a base, if we had a base or something like that, you can have that in here. Totally do that. You can set a waypoint yourself personally and say, hey, return to this point. This is the base. That's how you would do that. So we're done with that. Once you return to the carrier, you land. The radius, we'll just say 500. And that's just a radius around where the base is for the carrier. So you get in there, land is good. And we're going to say this is return alpha wing to carrier for next assignment. There you go. And we'll hit OK. Edit this one because we didn't give it objective info, and we'll just keep it the same. Destroy Zulu group. And we're going to change that to the enemy orbit waypoint. I'm glad I saw that too. And then hit OK. We're going to have to come back into it again. And we'll edit the Yankee group. And again, we're making there's the enemy orbit right there. And we will say OK. All right. So far we got our carrier, our player. Let's go back to it. So we got our carrier, our player, our wingman, and we have one bomber and one fighter. So we take off from the carrier, we fly over towards the enemy here. As soon as we take off, the enemy will start powering up, taking off, and they will fly towards this orbit spot here. So, all right, now comes the fun stuff. I'm gonna take this off. Engage enemies, and the fighter, I already took it off. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna click on the bomber and zoom in. So bomber is right there. Now that we've already got one created, I'm gonna go in, default behavior. He is parked. And then what we're going to do is the default orbit point is the enemy orbit. So he's going to fly there to the enemy orbit. And then yada, yada, yada. That's all we want on that. So now that we have this the way we want it, what we're going to do is we're going to hit copy. And we are going to come over here and we are going to turn this here. Boop. There we go. And we are going to say move, and then we are going to copy another one here. And we are going to move, and we're going to copy one more. And we're going to move, and then scroll out. So we got 3 bombers over here readying for takeoff. One's already on the pathway here. We got 1 fighter here. We're going to, oops, not bomber, fighter here. I'm going to zip in on him. He's there. We're going to go ahead and click on him. And he is Zulu, parked, default orbit. We are going to say the enemy orbit. There we go. And yada yada, engage enemies is off, spawn immediately. And now we're going to say copy and rotate. And we are going to put one here and copy. Move, and we're going to have one closer to the runway here. Copy, move, and one more. And move. All right, so now we have a couple of fighters and a couple of bombers. So we've got that situated. We've got them all in Zulu. They're parked. They're flight ready, ready to go, not ready to engage the enemy. So we're going to go ahead and hit close on this. So now we're going to scoop out. So now you can see we got a bomber on the runway, 3 lined up, 2, 4, 5 fighters ready for takeoff. So as soon as the mission starts up, they are going to start jumping up in the air. And by the time we get over there, most of them should be in the air, if not all of them. If they're not in the air, then oh well, they're SOL at that point. So we've got that done. So now we're going to just zoom out here. We're going to go back over to our player. And there we are. And then we're going to highlight our wingman here. And we're going to go into our wingman. We have him under alpha. There we go. Now we do. Now the voice is random. You can go in here and pick a voice for him if you want. But if you leave it on random, it's just a random voice. Player commands, unit only, default behavior, orbit. He's going to be parked just like we are. And he's cold, just like we are. So this is going to give the enemies a quick time to get over and get up in the air so that they'll be airborne by the time we're there. I'm going to take engage enemies off of our wingman so that we can command him directly on what to do. So we have that. So this is good. Yada, yada, yada. Keep it random. Parked. Bingo. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say copy. And we are going to put a second bird down. And then we're going to copy. And we're going to put another one down. And then we're going to copy one more. And move. So now we have 2-4 planes, along with yourself being 5 planes. So that makes it about 1-on-1. Doesn't always work out that way, but we have 5. We could create some more fighters if we want to, but I'm just running through it. So everything is good there. For the return to base, didn't think I clicked that, so I didn't. So now we have to do it for each of the fighters. Return to base as the carrier, return to base as the carrier. And you want to kind of get these set up first so that you don't have to go back and do all of these things for each plane like I'm doing right now. So if I'd have did it on the first one before I copied it, all this info would have copied over to the next one. So just keep that in mind. So that's that. Open, and we'll say copy, move, and copy, move. All right, so we just did 2 more. So there we go. We're going to do some more enemies too. So there we go. We have that one. Let's go in. Base Gordon, enemy orbit. Okay, all looks good. Copy, move, copy. We can keep it lined up that way. Move, copy, move. Okay. All right. There we go. So now we got more fighters, few bombers. Gonna need a crap load of air-to-air missiles on this one. All right, so there we go. We got all of our bad guys, all of our good guys. We're done creating other ones, but again, you can go in and create other types of units, you know, some tanks, whatever. This is strictly a air one, which is not really my strong suit, but we'll see if I get shot down immediately or whatnot. So we have those created. We got our objectives created. And now what we're going to do is go to save. So file, and we're going to save. Remember to save it. Sometimes I get so into it, I'm like, oh, I forgot to save it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a couple of events. And so we're going to do this. You can do timed events or triggered events or sequence events. What we're going to do is a trigger event. So we say new trigger event, and it's enabled, and the trigger type is proximity, or you could do conditional. So we're going to do a proximity, and the waypoint proximity is going to be the enemy orbit, and it is going to be triggered by any allied unit. So any allied unit, and the radius we'll say is not 500, we'll say it is 1500. And we'll say rename this to engage targets, engage enemy targets. Okay. And we're going to hit close. All right, so that means that the enemy orbit here, when any allied gets within a 1500 radius, which isn't big, we're gonna expand that. We're gonna make it like, how about 5,000? How big is that gonna be? Oh yeah, that's a better size. Anytime that zone there is penetrated by an allied craft, it's going to set them off to do something. And the action is unit group Zulu, which is our fighter wing. We're going to set them to engage enemies, which would be Alpha. And we're going to say, okay. And once you do that, you need to check this box to actually make it active. Even though you create it, you have to click this to make it active. So there's one trigger for that. So we hit close on this one, and we're going to do another trigger. And this one we're going to do conditional, which is one of the powerful things. So the condition here, we're going to click on it, and we're going to make this unit. So once a unit does something, it'll do something else. So we're going to base this upon ourselves. So player one is, and we're going to say, um, our speed is greater than, we'll say 6. Nah, we'll make it 8. Make it 8. Bingo. Once the speed is greater than 8, then there we go. Okay. So the condition to trigger is once the player reaches 8 milliseconds, whatever per whatever, then what? And the action is going to be unit group alpha is going to take off. And we're going to say, okay. So once you start moving towards the cat, all the remaining fighters in your wing, alpha wing, are going to take off. Okay, and we're going to add another action here. Alpha group, they're going to form up on the pilot, which is you as the player. And you say who the leader is, and again, you as the player. So once you start going 8 milliseconds, milliliters, milliliters, whatever per second, then the alpha wing is going to start taking off, and the alpha wing, once taken off, are going to form up on the pilot. So you can fly over here, they'll follow you and form up, or fly over this way, they'll form up. That's what the triggers are going to do. Make sure that it's enabled, and we are ready, and we can close this up. We want to rename it, and we will call this, how about this? Scramble Alpha Wing. There we go. Scramble Alpha Wing. Yada, yada, yada. So those are our two triggers. And the two, I'm going to go ahead and close it so we can zoom in and zoom out, move the cursor. So there we go. Here's the carrier. There's the base. Here's where the enemies are going to loiter. So mission will start. Player will take off. Once it go past 8 milli whatever per second, the rest of the squad is going to start cutting on their engines, close the canopies, flaps, all the gear, shoot off the catapult. They're going to join me in the air somewhere in between point A and point B of where the loader point is. Also, once the mission starts, the enemies over here from Zulu and Yankee wing are going to take off and start flying to this. So might catch them somewhere in between, may be there by the time everyone launches to get there, but this is where the battle's going to be, right here at this enemy orbit. So once all planes of the enemy are destroyed from Zulu and Yankee wings, then the objective to RTB will be effective to return to the carrier and land. Phew. There you go. All set up. So we have our units. We have our enemy units. We have our waypoint, enemy orbit. We have our events, engage enemy targets, scramble Alpha Wing, and those are our trigger events. And then we have our objectives, launch Alpha Wing, destroy Yankee and Zulu groups, return to the carrier. Okay, and the last thing we want to do here before we are finished is we're going to go into the aircraft carrier and we're going to say edit carrier. And what we're going to do here is, here are all the slots where we can place objects such as our fighters or VTOL aircraft. So we're going to start out here, this spot right here in the second space. I'm going to say this is where the player is going to start. And then the next one is going to start right there. And the next one is going to start right there. And then we will have that one start there. This one start there. That one start there. And this last one right here there. So we have 3 over here. 1, 2, 3. And we have player and 3 more over here. So we'll say accept. And so now, if you can see, raise up here, you can see there are the placements of the fighters on the jets, the fighter jets, I should say, and there's all the other ones back here. So there we go. We've got all those placed, and we've got all our stuff set up. So do a final save, and there you have it. And that's it. We have it. So we are going to hit File, Save, and there we go. So you've just created a mission. Hopefully I will be able to fly this and I will have it as a follow-up video, but for now this is how easy you can get in and create you a mission. And it's really cool because you can do a lot of great things with it, and this is just a really quick walkthrough of how to use the editor, what you can do. There's a lot more stuff that I didn't go over, but this allows just anyone who likes the game to go in and set up just something basic, and then from there you can go in and tweak and touch up things or add things as you will. This is just a simple basic set up a few bad guys, set up a few good guys, meet in the middle, duke it out. There you go. So hope you enjoyed the video. Everyone, thanks for watching. Have a great day.